You know what I really am? I'm my main gift from my parents. I was born May 12th, 1907, despite everything I may have said to the contrary, in Hartford, Connecticut, 22 Hudson Street, then opposite the Hartford Hospital. The street doesn't exist anymore. The hospital grew over it. We were a big family. Dad and Mother had 6 children over a period of 15 years. Tom, Kath, Dick, Bob, Marion, Peg. We were a happy family. I was much older than my sisters. To them, I was really another grown-up. They were 11 and 13 years younger than I am. Bob and Dick were closer, but they were boys. When I went to college at 17, they were 11 and 13. As children, they used to visit me in New York. I'd take them to the theater, to movies, museums, all the excitements. I was a sort of rich aunt, and we had great fun together.
Happy birthday, dear sister. How are you? I hope you are feeling fine. Mommy hopes so too. I am not. I am in your room. Mommy put me there. The whole family is going to see the big parade at Parsons Theater. Yours, Richard.
You are sweet to write me so often, and so are the babes. I adore learning about things and am always very disappointed when I come back and find no letters awaiting me. I hope you aren't having too dull a summer. It's too bad in this world that one always seems to have either too desperately much or too desperately little to do. I miss you all frantically, but it won't be long now. Huge love and kisses all around, and especially to you and Dad. I adore more than you will ever know. Tell Dad my health is never better and that I haven't been touched yet by strikers.
What can I say? The luck of having Dad and Mother. They really loved each other. Dad with his red hair and his hot temper. Some say I'm like him. I hope so. I would be so proud. Mother with a real savvy of life. She adored him. She adored us. She was deep. She was witty. Some say I'm like her. I hope so. I'd be so proud.
I miss you all desperately. Do write. I love to hear what's happening. I sometimes think children who are cordially bored and dislike their parents have a great advantage over anyone as hopelessly bound up in sentiment, love, and admiration as I am. You and Dad mean everything to me, so for heaven's sake, be careful of yourselves. I feel 1,000,000 miles away. Endless love, Kay. Ma, darling, my silence has been due to the fact that for 2.5 weeks I've been working every day from 6 to 9 and twice from 6 to 12. Hence, I've not had time to touch pen to paper. Isn't it exciting about the house? I can't wait to see it. You were angels to be so excited that you went down there. That's where our family beats any other. We're capable of real excitement, which very few people are capable of. Dearest Dad, this week you get $2,200. Spitfire has so far grossed $400,000 in America. The foreign business is not good because they can't understand the dialect. They expect it to reach $635,000. Its cost $420,000. They will make $200,000, and I get 12.5% of this. Of course, this is hypothetical, and I never expect to see it, but there are possibilities. You are an angel to take so much trouble for me. Lots of love. Naturally, I'm delighted to donate anything to any of my sister's enterprises, but only on condition that my mail from them shows a decided increase. I've had one from Peg and none from Marion. I am feeling very gay today, first because I enjoy writing you, and second because this is my first day off, and a most beautiful day it is. My health is excellent, as are my spirits, and I hope yours are the same. Love to Dad. Tell him I adore my mounting income more than he does, and that I owe nothing except, of course, the tax. I will have the deductions figured out very soon, and that he is an angel to take so much trouble, and ask him if he hasn't anything for me to sign. Love to all the tribe. I loved the pictures taken on the boat, leaving New York and arriving in London. A more fascinating threesome I cannot imagine. Well, I hope that all goes well and that you are having a good time. I begin Sylvia Scarlett in 2 weeks, July 23rd, and shoot for 10 weeks, so we'll be in the midst of it when you get back. Let me know if you need anything. Love and kisses to all. Dearest M., what do you think of this writing paper? Probably it would have looked better engraved in blue, but it's for business and love letters, which I never write. Well, it seems too extraordinary for Marion to be at college. She wrote me a wonderful letter and seems to think it's wonderful and biology is wonderful, and she had the sense not to tell me about economics. I'm glad she is so pleased. Peg seems to think it was great, too. Speaking of Peg, I think that she should study dancing with the same man, or a better one if she sees fit. Also, and this would be very carefully considered, it has been a great handicap to me not to be able to play the piano at least enough so that someone else could play, and I could fake it by making my hands look as if they were playing. When you think of how much this would be in her pocket if she decides to do something in the theater, I don't believe at all in her studying with Duff or anyone like that. But I do mean singing, dancing, and playing piano as accomplishments, which can do her nothing but good no matter what. If I could do those things plus the things I can, to think of where I'd be. So, all the kids have gone to be educated. It must seem terribly queer to you to have Peg go too. Sad and yet satisfactory. At least you know that they are all happiest when they're back where they started. How few parents can say that. What a relief it is to want to get away, and what a relief to us to get back. Funny what a poor basis for living most people's childhood gives them. They usually either overcome it between 18 and 25, or it overcomes them, and I have only to call on mine, and it gives me everything. You and Dad should be very proud, because you are unique in my experience. Thank God you're mine. My darling Snooky, you have no idea what a wit I have become with my Jackie stories. In our group they make the most tremendous hit. You must always write me the new ones. I keep thinking of him concentrating madly and falling into the rocky abyss. I must run to the studio. You were an angel to write. Give a big hug each to Jack and Kath and Eli and yourself. To JBG, my broomstick is broken and I am stuck here in Chicago. Next year we will meet at midnight.
Dad went to Randolph-Macon College in Virginia, took a B.A., then an M.A., then he went to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore to study medicine. Dad was offered several very good jobs in New York hospitals, but he thought New York a poor place to live. Mother and Dad were married. They moved to Hartford. They wanted to have a big family. At the beginning, Mother and Dad lived opposite the Hartford Hospital, where Dad was an intern, and then he was a resident. They were both dedicated to the bettering of the position of men and of women. My mother, Catherine, was filled with her mother's feeling about the future. She wanted to go to college, to Bryn Mawr. She wanted to lead her younger sisters in the right direction. She went to Bryn Mawr. I felt the enormous effect my grandmother must have had on my mother, who was the eldest, so my mother was the one who received the powerful philosophy of George Bernard Shaw. Don't give in. Fight for your future. Independence is the only solution. Women are as good as men. Onward. Mother had a booth at the Connecticut Fairgrounds, and we had a gas cylinder in the booth so that we could fill balloons. Votes for women, balloons. Purple, white, and green. I was about 8. I used to fill the balloons, tie a 6-foot string onto them, go out into the street, pursue visitors to the fair, follow them until they were willing to accept one of my balloons, whether they wanted one or not.
Dear Santa Claus, from Catherine Houghton Hepburn, I would like to have some dolls' bedclothes and a wristwatch and a 3-railed electric train and some batteries, please.
We ran the Russian movie called We Are From Kronstadt at the studio yesterday. What a picture. If you get a chance to see it, do, because you'll probably go to Russia and stay there afterward. The ex-Mary of Scots group ran it together and all came out waving the red flag. I'm having it run tonight for Leland and Teresa Helburn and George Cukor. I hope they like it as well. Dearest M, I suppose that now you're in Fenwick, and how I envy you. Bob sent me a map of how Dad has rearranged things, and I imagine that it is very grand. I haven't done much work since I talked to you on the telephone. It is certainly too bad that we are not there to have fights about the CIO. I am becoming so well informed you would hardly know me. Of course, my teacher is only slightly prejudiced in favor of the plutocrats. I seem to be just a reed blown thither of you by persons with wild beliefs to extreme right or extreme left.
Dear Marion, I know how punctilious you are about business matters, so I am enclosing your bank statement and another communication from the bank, which I assure you I have not read in spite of the fact that I have taken them out of their envelopes. You may be sure that whatever financial sins you committed are still unknown by the wolf. Of course, in your busy public life, I do not expect many personal communications in regard to the exigencies of your life, but I wish you would tell your private secretary, Miss Associated Press, that we have received no word in regard to your life for several days, and are feeling quite concerned about it. Her last report was encouraging. I hear that you do not intend to go on the stage or write poetry or plays. This was received with a sigh of relief from your sister Catherine and brother Richard. Your father and brother Bob, the two non-career members of the family, noted the episode with scientific interest. Your mother and Peg did not express their emotional reaction other than to say, "Doing very well, I think." We all thought the picture clever, charming, professional, or good, according to our several natures. We miss you a lot, but I know you will have a good time wherever you are. Have Miss Press write me soon. Affectionately, Dad.
Mother and Dad were perfect parents. They brought us up with a feeling of freedom. There were no, rules. There were simply certain things which we did, and there were certain things which we did not do because they would hurt others. There you were, strong, funny, 2 rocks. What luck to be born out of love and to live in an atmosphere of warmth and interest. On Sundays and holidays, we'd walk in the woods. We'd climb, we'd swing trees, climb up as high as we could, then, holding on as tight as possible, we'd swing our legs out, bend the treetop over to the ground. It was great fun. Because of Dad, we were the center of action, and because of Mother, we were always able to provide cookies and ginger ale or sarsaparilla or birch beer. But the greatest gift she gave us was freedom. Freedom to be noisy. Freedom to yell. Do it, yes, do it. Tell me about it.
Ma, darling, I am now somewhere about 5 hours out of Chicago drinking a lemonade and feeling very well. During my 2-hour stay in Chicago, I first drove about the fairgrounds, which I don't think are going to be ready for June 1st, but which nevertheless are most interesting. I had a screaming taxi driver who wouldn't let me miss a trick. They are selling Kansas City papers outside my door, so maybe that's where we are. Then, thinking of you and how I must keep healthy, I took a walk with the taxi driving beside me along the lakeshore. Then, completely exhausted, with feet somewhat compressed in my black alligator shoes with heels a good 6 inches high, I returned to the center of town and went into Brentano's to buy this stub pen, which habit I inherited from watching you buy stub pens at Warfield's. Why stub? I've always wondered. While there, my taxi driver comes rushing in, caught me by the arm, and dragged me out to see a beautifully varnished beer wagon drawn by 6 handsome horses drive by. Then I went back and bought this paper, which tendency I also got from you. Oh, we had the most amazing adventure. We were out in the mountains, back of our house, walking with the 2 dogs, far from anywhere, when 2 sort of city slicker types called out, "Hello, girlie." We walked along when a shot rang out from nowhere and skimmed by us. They seemed to have no guns, so we called out, "What's the idea?" And they said nothing. Then a man appeared from his other side with a gun and shot apparently right at us, clipping bark off trees around us. Somewhat all around, we walked on and made a big circle back home, called the police, and one man came up and down into the valley where they were, and they sat with their guns over their knees trained on him. He got their car number and went back to get more police, and while he was gone, they escaped. It was quite an insane experience, because why in the hell would they shoot right at us is beyond me. So it was very exciting. Mein Gott, what a weekend! Left at 7 a.m. Saturday from Hollywood with trunks of food and sweaters. Got to San Pedro at 8:30. Out 25 minutes. Terrible smoke, smell, and discover water cooling system turned off. Turn it on, let motor cool off, start engine, go for 10 minutes circling around. Bottle stops lined up in harbor toward lighthouse at entrance to harbor or exit to Pacific. All of a sudden, motor stopped, wouldn't go. No one very mechanical on board. All the time drifting toward SS Maryland. 50 yards, 25 yards, 10 yards. Skipper goes forward to drop anchor. Not tied to anchor line and line tangled. We bump the SS Maryland, and her commanding officer sends out this speedboat to pull us away from her and, after much talk, consents to send out a mechanic. You can't believe how screamingly funny it was. We all acted as though we'd never been on a boat. Motor bad, ropes tangled, generally merry, etc. The U.S. Navy lower strata were almost in hysterics, and the officers were wild. The commander of the speedboat from the SS came alongside. We threw them a line. They started off, and our tow line proved not to be fastened, so we tied it and threw it again. Then the mechanic and an officer came aboard. The former set to work, and the latter to talk. Our skipper, like an ass, said, "You never thought to rescue K.H.?" "No," said the officer, "nor Greta Garbo," not believing him. Again, alone we set out toward our destination, Catalina Island. Not, I may add, without slight misgivings on my part, which were invoiced. 3 hours later, at 3:30 a.m., with K.H. at the wheel, having been there all the time and sails flying, we sped toward a bay at the Isthmus of Catalina. All my love to all readers of this epistle, and don't look at spelling or style, as my hurry is great. I have been in the mountains for last week and until this Tuesday with George Cukor. I went riding one of the first days on a western saddle and had lots of fun and didn't feel a bit stiff. So the next day I went out alone at about 7 in the evening. The horse was very loath to leave the stable, but I finally managed to force him to. Then I decided that the stirrups were too long, so I got off to lengthen them, and the horse bolted, and I leapt into one stirrup and just managed to get on and saved myself walking home. Then I made him turn around to go to our house, and the stirrups was so long that I might as well have been bareback. I got completely black and blue. It was really very funny. So, the next morning I got up at 4 a.m. to go fishing, alone because none of the house party ever does anything but talk. I had bought a cheap rod and reel and 4 dozen worms. In 4 hours I caught 4, and we ate them for breakfast. They were wonderful. I can't tell you how much I enjoy fishing. It is a most thrilling pastime and a great art. I also am a licensed fisherman in the state of California.
I went to Fenwick, which was in full flower. June, the weather was heavenly. Golf, tennis, swimming, sailing, ever available. The family were there. They were all there, and it was fun.
Wasn't it fun this summer? It seemed like old times. I can hardly believe that I'm back. It did me so much good, especially taking up double Canfield with Auntie again. I must scoot. Endless love to all. Darling, another note. I'm feeling grander, but a bit bored. Being a walk-on is a bit dull, and I'm not so sure it was a wise step my coming out here on such a slim chance of getting a good part. However, only 13 more days. I long to get back to New York and see what's up and what's down. Thank your lucky stars that you live in the East. Mon Dieu, these cities and people. Frightfully nice, but none of the graceful superficialities which make life charming. I should like to be in Fenwick giggling with you, but this is a fine rest cure. I sleep all the time. I'll call you up when I arrive in New York on September 10th. Huge love.
God sent the hurricane of 1938. The house at Fenwick completely disappeared. Connecticut is home to me. I've been stuck in the snow. I've lost a house in a hurricane. I've tennised. I've golfed. It's been fun. You've got to dream up everything. I had a little theatre which I'd made out of a wooden box. It had a floor with lines cut in it. I could stand the scenery, the cardboard scenery and the actors in the cracks, and I'd make up the stories, and I'd give shows to my brothers Dick and Bob, and they seemed to like it. I adored movies, I still do. I used to bribe Dick and Bob to go to the corner drugstore to buy me movie magazines. That's what I found fascinating. All I wanted was to be a great big hit in the movies. Like my mother, I went to Bryn Mawr College. I was in the class of 1928. I wasn't a member of any club then, but I acted in several plays, which was fun. Before my senior year ended, I'd made friends with a man named Jack Clark. Jack had several friends in the theatre, and he happened to know Edwin Knopf, who ran a theatre company in Baltimore. One weekend, I went to see Edwin Knopf, and he said, "Well, write me a note when you finish college." I finished college. I went to see Eddie Knopf. I found my way in from the front. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a stage door. Eddie Knopf saw me. "Oh, you? Yes. Report for rehearsal Monday, 11 o'clock. My God, he knew me. He gave me a job.